Well, hello there. I'm Cassandra B, and this is Contemplations with me. Today, I thought I would just talk about something that I think a lot of us were taught, and that's called kindness. You're understanding, you're patient, you listen, you show up, you give, you forgive, you make room. You're everybody's person. And then one day you look around and you think, okay, but where the hell is everybody when I need somebody? And that's where I want to poke a little bit at the bear today, because we've been taught to treat people the way you want to be treated. Beautiful principle. But I also would like to add to this is treat yourself the way you want to be treated. Because you can spend your entire life being kind to everyone while being absolutely ruthless with yourself. You'll give somebody else grace for something you would never forgive yourself for. You'll listen to everybody else's problems while telling yourself you don't have time for your own. You show up when they call, you answer the phone, you rearrange your plans, you'll understand their circumstances, you'll make excuses for their behavior. And then when somebody asks what you need, you don't even know anymore. Because somewhere along the way, we became the everybody's person and forgot to be our own. This is where kind of things can get uncomfortable is most people aren't necessarily trying to hurt you. Sometimes they simply just get accustomed to the version of you that never says it's enough, never says no, never, the version of you that is always okay. Don't worry about it. I understand. It's fine. I can do it. Oh, wait, it's okay. You're going to be a little late. No worries. And my screen is distracting me. There we go. I'll take care of that. And then one day you're exhausted, resentful, disappointed, angry. And you're thinking, if they care about me, then they wouldn't put me in this position. Maybe. But here's the question I want you to sit with today. Did they know? Did you tell them? Did you show them where your line was, where your boundary was? Or did you keep moving that line so that when somebody crossed it, right? Like, did you keep going, oh, that's right, I'll just pull back a little more, put a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more, right? People cannot honor a boundary you never established. So boundaries are not punishment. We have to remember this. Boundaries aren't, I'm going to teach you a lesson. A boundary is simply where your responsibility for yourself begins. It's saying, this is what I can give, and this is what I cannot give. This is how I am willing to be treated. This is what I will no longer participate in. I do a casting kind of part of you don't have to become less kind. This is the part. Don't fire to the face. You have to include yourself in the kindness. You have to think about it. You do not have to be less kind, including to yourself. You don't have to harden your heart, and you don't have to stop caring for other people. You don't have to become cold and aloof. It's really and you don't have to stop helping, because that's the other part is then we go, well, I'm just not going to freaking do anything for anybody because I'm just so done with doing anything, period. To go, whoa, 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 whoa. You can decide where you flow in. You don't have to abandon yourself, though, in the process, which is what so many of us do. We put everybody else before ourselves. There's a difference between generosity and self-assurance, and there's a difference between compassion and self-neglect. And I think so many of us go into self-neglect. We are so compassionate and we have all the time in the world for everybody else. But then when you're asked to do something kind and loving for yourself, you go, I don't have time for that. But you would drop everything to make sure the person next to you is okay. But you won't drop anything to make sure you're okay. That's an abandoning yourself. That is not being proper. That's self-neglect. That's not healthy. It makes us very unwell, and we end up getting illnesses and issues, so that we do have to actually look at our own self, that we do actually have to care for ourselves, that we can't keep neglecting ourselves because now we've got some major illness that has made us only look at the picture in front of us, only look at our own paper, only look at the person in the mirror, because you don't have anything for anybody else. So there's this difference between being available and being endlessly accessible. I lived this way for years. I had an open door policy 24 hours a day. It didn't matter what was going on. If you needed me, I was there, even at my own demise. I would get clients that would call me at 3 a.m. because they had a hangnail, so to speak. It wasn't because it was like, oh, woe is me. It was they couldn't sleep, so then I shouldn't sleep, because they needed somebody to share their thoughts with. They go, your journal would have worked. But I abandoned my own self. I didn't have boundaries. I was making sure everybody else was okay. And then something major happened in my life. Crickets. Not a single soul showing up. So it really started to make me go, hold much. Am I been giving endlessly and not getting nothing in return? There's a big difference between loving someone and making yourself responsible for their comfort, for their care, for all of their emotional needs, and then getting nothing in return. So what I would like to ask you today is, are you kind because you're strong enough to be kind? Or are you kind because you're afraid of what will happen if you aren't? Think about that. Afraid they'll be disappointed? Are you afraid they'll be angry? Afraid they'll leave? Afraid they won't love you? Afraid they'll call you selfish? Right, come on. Afraid they'll stop being useful? You stop being valuable. There is this doorway of that we are walking through, because sometimes the hardest boundary that we have isn't the one that we need to set for another person. It's actually the one that you need to set with yourself. The boundary that says, I will no longer portray myself to keep somebody else comfortable. I will no longer say yes when my whole body says, no, I don't wanna, and you do it anyway. I will no longer keep waiting for someone who repeatedly shows me that they don't respect my time. They don't show up. They cancel out. They make themselves the priority, and you are an option always. I will no longer give endlessly and call the emptiness that follows love. That so often we hold space for others while nobody has been holding space for us. And we do this thinking that it's a part of our purpose and job, instead of, well, we keep doing it because we never also said, hey, no, that's enough. What I have to say is we are no longer needing to confuse being needed with being loved. There's a difference, because reciprocity matters. You don't give because it's supposed to be a transaction. That's not what we're trying to think about. But you give because giving is a part of who you are. But healthy relationships have movement in both directions. Ebb and flow, right? There is giving, there is receiving, there is listening, there is being listened to, there is showing up. There is being shown up for. So often we're doing the listening, we're doing the showing up, we're doing the giving, and we are leaving with an empty cup, an empty saucer, and an empty heart, because we have been just pouring ourselves into a never-ending aspect, but never actually getting the generosity coming back to ourselves. And we end up just depleted into nothing, in burnout, in those spaces. And then people go, well, what's wrong with you? I don't know. I got nothing less to give. And then they just disappear, right? So where have I been treating myself? Where have I been treating everybody else better than I have been treating myself? Not to shame yourself, not to beat yourself up. This is I just really want you to notice is, where have you been putting everybody before you? Where have you been making sure that everybody's wants and needs are taken care of before even you are putting oxygen into your own being, right? We have to put the gas mask on ourselves first so that we can actually relax, so that we can come into being, so that we actually have the energy to keep on going. But so often we are just allowing ourselves to be depleted while we are still on our last breath trying to figure out how to give one more thing to another human being. So stop putting yourself last, please. I want you just to become aware of the choices you've been making, because I really want you to start making better choices for yourself. Maybe the next one, and maybe the next thing you need is boundary. And maybe it's just looking at a boundary for today. Maybe today you'll be really good at saying no. Just make that your own personal boundary. Make that, and maybe if you can't go a whole day with saying no or not answering the phone or not doing, maybe an hour, maybe a whatever, but just start putting yourself forward, making sure that your cup is getting filled, that you are getting what you need, that people are showing up for you in the same way that you are showing up for them. And if you are one of the ones that is always late, that cancel out, that do all of those things and go, well, I'm just looking after my own being. Remember that you're also needing to respect the person that you asked to show up for you, that you agreed to make those connections with. So make sure that you are showing up for that other person, because sometimes they've been showing up for you so long that you forget of all the work that they have held space for, all the things that they have done for you. So make sure that you are giving and taking in equal. And I mean, everything is not going to be perfectly balanced, but it should be ebbing and flowing in a beautiful way. So we're needing to really think about where do you put yourself on the list? Because you are not here to be somebody else's person while disappearing from your own life. You are here to come home to yourself first. And sometimes coming home really sounds remarkably simple. Enough. Not I'm angry, not I hate you, not I'm going to punish you, just enough. This is my limit. This is where I stop. This is where I choose myself. This is not about being selfish, which is where we always go, oh, you're so selfish. And maybe you are. If that triggers you, then think about, are you being selfish, or are you finally saying, no, actually, I just need to fill up my cup because I have nothing left because I am burnt out. So make sure that you have self-respect. Make sure that you are giving and receiving from the relationships you give. And maybe you aren't getting exactly what you give to one relationship, but make sure there's another relationship that you are getting back from. And I really want you to ask yourself, where am I being asked to include myself in my own kindness? Because really, are you only kind to everybody else and you have no kindness with yourself? That is not self-respect. That is self-abandonment. So please stop abandoning yourself. So really just contemplate today how that sits with you, how that flows with you, where you are saying enough, this is my limit, this is where I need to stop, and where you still feel freely to give and feel like that it is balanced and the ebb and flow is going beautifully. Think about what both of those relationships look like in your life today. And I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will see you again tomorrow for Contemplations with me, Cassandra B.